Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Face Your Ears podcast. My name is Justin Hoshella, and I'm joined by, I still haven't figured that one out. Anyway, here's Rich Bozick.
Hello. Good to hear your voice again.
You too.
Hello, everyone listening.
You've got mail.
Someone just got an email.
That was just the opportunity emailing us. Opportunity doesn't knock anymore. It emails.
Well played, sir. This is true. That was opportunity pinging you. So, yeah, how's it going? How are you doing?
Pretty good. I am busy teaching. I'm doing stuff with recording.
Awesome.
Been working on some things. Got my engineering hat on, doing some mixing. But life has been good. How about you?
Good. Yeah, life's good. Nothing super crazy and new with me. I just got a synthesizer back from repair. Very excited about that. It is the Mega FM by Twisted Electrons. And had a little little light bulb burned out.
Oh, man.
I had to send it away to get repaired. But yeah, it's a great little synth. It's based off of the Sega Genesis.
One essential LED was out?
Well, it wasn't essential, but I'm like, this is annoying. So I contacted the company. I think it's basically like 2 people. I don't know. It's a very small company in France. Anyway, they covered it completely. They covered the shipping and the repair and everything. So now it's perfect.
Was that new? A new item?
Yeah, new-ish. I got it this past year, but it's really cool. It's this gnarly FM synthesizer, so it sounds like the Sega Genesis because it's based on the same hardware. And so it's kind of this neat little desktop synthesizer that has these very clangy, metallic kind of sounds to it.
Love FM synthesis. Love it. I'm always hitting up the FM synthesis patches on my keyboard. There's something about it.
Yeah, I think it's just we grew up with, we didn't know it at the time, but we grew up with FM synthesis a lot, not only in our video games, but in our movies as well. So it's everywhere. Like Sega Genesis is FM synthesis.
Yeah.
And we could start a whole podcast on the Sega Genesis, I feel like, but that's for another time.
We might.
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm trying to think of a cool Sega Genesis podcast name off the top of my head, but nothing's coming. What else is going on? Well, we continue to be on social media, everyone. So if you're listening and you either know what social media is, or you use social media, or both, you can come find us on Twitter and on Instagram. So we like to stay active there and would love to hear from you. Or, send us a clip of what you're working on.
Yeah.
Say hello. We don't care. Just say hi.
Check out our website too.
Yeah.
FaceYourEars.com. There's a good resources page on that site, I heard. Is that true?
That is true. I can validate and confirm that information. That is true.
For those hungry for resources.
Lots of great resources.
There are resources there.
Yeah. Or if you want to know more about the voice or voices behind Face Your Ears, you can learn about that too at FaceYourEars.com. So yeah, check us out. Follow us on social. We always appreciate that. Without further ado, let's jump into our episode today. So last time we were together, we talked about...
Well, we talked about you.
Me. We talked about me. But today we're going to flip the script and we're going to talk about you.
Me?
Rich.
You're going to talk about me?
Yes. One of the things that I wanted to kick off with is actually an acknowledgement. So we're now 7 episodes in to this still 5-star podcast. Just want to make a friendly reminder there. So we're 7 episodes in at this point, and each of these episodes we start off with this catchy little funky tune with this just this voice that is like the sunrise coming over the valley of opportunity. So it's this great song that we used, and I remember hearing the song for the first time and just really falling in love with it and just loving the energy of it. And so, Rich, to start our conversation today, I was wondering if you could tell our listeners and me more about this song that I'm talking about that we use to open and close every episode of Face Your Ears. So I think this is a great kicking off point for us to get to know you.
Well, thank you, my brother. That was really nice. Nice way to segue into that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, that song is called Journey's Frontier. I just started off with this groovy little keyboard patch that just was really funky sounding.
Right, that's like a clavinet sound going on.
Yeah, it's like a bass with like something really punchy.
It's got that cool funk kind of vibe. I like it.
And it's funny how some patches just bring out the composition. And that was the case for that one. And then, I recorded that and then laid some vocals over it and tried to think of lyrics for it. Backed off, actually, and I was like, no, I'm just going to sing a melody over this. But that's part of one of the things I'm doing. I'm writing some of my own material, and then I feel like it's important as a teacher to also still keep creating, on my own, to keep the creative juices flowing, to keep my head in the process so that I can advise properly.
I love that outlook. And I loved what you said about being inspired by the sound. I think that's why I love synthesizers and keyboards, is because that's sort of what they symbolize to me, is this sort of inspiration box. Sort of going through the different sounds and manipulating those can inspire a whole composition and a whole idea.
It's crazy. It's a whole nother world.
That's really
It's
cool.
a whole nother world.
Yeah.
I was just like stuck with the basic piano setting, teaching the voice lesson or using an upright piano or something like that if I'm teaching from somewhere else.
Yeah.
A few years back, I invested in a more complex, higher quality keyboard, the Yamaha Mod X.
An excellent keyboard, by the way.
It's fantastic. It opened up a whole new palette of sounds and has inspired all kinds of creativity.
It's such a great tool. It's so inspirational, and there's so many great sounds. And that's one of the things I love about that keyboard, is just the ability to explore different sounds and ideas and genres and things like that. So that's great. And can you tell us, do you have any plans for Journey's Frontier?
Well, thanks for asking. Yes, I actually have a few irons in the fire. So right now, the bulk of what I'm doing is I am in the process of recording, mixing, mastering, getting an album ready together with my buddy Alex. We have a band called Beakfist, and you could find, I think we have at least one demo up on YouTube, Beakfist Band on YouTube. And we're also on Bandcamp. But this was a long time coming. We've been kind of cracking away at this for now, I think, 2-3 years. The pandemic really derailed everything. But I'm in the studio doing a lot of that stuff. So that's big time priority right now. Also, for the past few years, I've been writing my own stuff that's like more experimental.
Awesome. Yes. You were toiling away in the cave of wonders.
Yes. Yeah, so a little bit of collaboration, a little bit of solo work.
Right. Yeah. You can see light spilling out from the entrance, the Cave of Wonders, but you can't yet walk in. So that's great. That's exciting that you're working on all of that stuff and just have that going on and are just staying engaged in the process. And just, I love the idea of how you connect that to your work as a teacher, because the two inform each other.
With my teaching, troubleshooting all kinds of issues with the students. Most of the stuff that they're running into is stuff that I've gone through as well. So I come from a place of, yes, I've struggled with that too. Yes, I needed to work through that as well. So even when they're working on songs or whether they're working on something vocally that is difficult, I try to draw from my own experience, and I try to keep my knowledge updated by being in it still. And I have a good life here with my wife and my children, and everything's good. I'm not going to sell it all and move to Vegas anytime soon. But I still like to write, and I do want to share that with people eventually, both with what's going on with the band and with stuff that I've been working on in the background and whatnot.
That's great. And we'll link to Beakfist in the show description too, so if people want to check it out.
The light is at the end of the tunnel for that. We got a lot of good material laid down, and we're just slowly chipping away at it.
Yeah, that's great. And so that's where you're currently at in your musical journey, in your career. You've got a successful voice studio. You're in a band. You're writing your own stuff. A lot of things going on, and a lot of great success, and a lot of great experiences that you've had over the decades. And so, as you may have guessed, where I'm going now is that's where the journey is for Rich today. But once upon a time, Rich Bozek took that first step on the road towards all the things I just described. And there's been a lot of adventures on that road, a lot of ups and downs and sideways and back and forth and everything like that. But can you tell us about your journey and how it began?
Picture it. Ohio. Early 90s. I was a wee young lad.
Alice in Chains playing on the radio.
Nirvana. Pearl Jam.
ABC's TGIF is all the rage.
Just got cable in my house.
Point Break is sold out at Blockbusters across the country.
Anyways, oh, cool, man. No, this will be fun. So, earliest music memory of how I feel like the seed was planted, believe it or not, was not in the state of Ohio.
What?
It was in Queens, New York. I was visiting my godparents. There was nothing for me to do there. It was a bunch of adults hanging out. And so they let me explore the building that they were staying in. And I wandered into the basement of the building, and it was just a bunch of stuff crammed in there. But I noticed there was a piano in there. And so I sat down behind the piano and I started tinkering with the keys. But that's the earliest memory I remember where I was first like, wow, like there's something else here. I was always interested in music. There was a lot of music in the house. Growing up, my parents listened to a lot of Serbian folk music growing up. So I was surrounded by Serbian folk music. And then I had an older sister who was into rock.
Can we talk about the Serbian music?
Sure.
So are your parents just huge fans?
Oh yeah, man, it's a big deal. Serbs are big time music lovers. So when they immigrated here, they had all the memories of all the music from the old country, and they were able to buy the cassettes here. There were like little import stores, and they would actually also trade amongst their friends and dual cassette recording. You can copy tapes and whatnot. So my dad had a crazy collection. I just remember all of those old songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was just constantly music around. And then when my sister and I would hang out, I have an older sister, she would be listening to like Pink Floyd and things like that.
Yeah.
And we would listen to records. I think I remember the first record I ever listened to was House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, and on the other side was Bring It On Home, and I just like was obsessed with that.
How old were you?
6, 7, 8, that territory.
Mm-hmm.
7.
A young lad.
Yes.
It sounds like it's sort of introducing you to the idea that like, okay, music is cool. Like there's just different sorts of sounds that I'm hearing I'm like, okay, like kind of figuring out like this is neat. I enjoy this. This is cool.
Oh yeah. I remember I was sitting in my room and I was listening to some stuff on the radio. We always had the radio playing, and my sister walking into the room and being like, "Here, listen to this." And she handed me a cassette, and it was Metallica's Master of Puppets. And so I popped that bad boy in, and when that first song kicked in with the little acoustic guitar intro battery, it like was a game changer for me.
Yeah. I remember having a similar sort of experience in my life where it was like there's first the discovery of music where
Mhm.
you don't really know what you like yet, and you're just sort of like, yay, this is cool, kid in a candy store. Like you're just sort of sampling whatever's in front of you, and this is all great and cool. And then there's like the lightning bolt moment when you hear something that sort of resonates with your soul,
Yeah.
whatever that is. And so for you, it sounds like that was Metallica's Master of Puppets, where it just smacks you in the forehead, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
This is a thing that exists. Like,
Up to that point, I've never heard anything like that. The next, I guess, pivotal moment after that was I was at my buddy's house, my buddy John's house, and he had bought a guitar, and I'm like, "Can I play it?" And he's like, "Sure." So like I grabbed the guitar, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to press the string, right? Like I didn't know how to make a sound out of this thing. And so then he walks over, he grabs my finger, and he presses it tightly on the fretboard, and he's like, "Here, go ahead, hit the string, with your pick there." And I hit it, and it made a sound, and I'm like, "Oh!" It was like something like opened up within me, like the floodgates opened up.
yeah.
Then my buddy Brian bought that guitar off of him and took it to his house. And I was already over there hanging out a lot playing basketball, and and I would always sneak off while they were playing basketball, and I'd go down the basement and I'd be trying to play the guitar horribly. And what was funny was it was a 6-string guitar. The guitar, 4 of the strings were broken. So there was only the two low strings.
It's like that band. I don't know if you remember Presidents of the United States.
Oh yeah, yeah.
America.
Uh-huh.
That band. They wrote Lump and Peaches, I think.
Just-
That the guitar player had like 2 or 3 strings or something.
Really?
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
noticed that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'd be down there, and I remember I think the first song I learned how to play was like a kind of poor man's version of Enter Sandman. Like I wasn't all the notes were there.
I want to hear recordings of that. Dang, 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 dang.
2 strings.
Dang, dang, dang.
And then soon to follow, I learned "Come as You Are" on by Nirvana. And that works for 2 strings,
For sure.
So yeah, that like was pivotal, because that was like, man, I really like want to play guitar now.
Yeah.
So like I became obsessed with guitar, but I couldn't afford a guitar. But to my surprise, my sister, she set aside money and she bought me a guitar for Christmas.
What? So then that opened up the door for you to start this new leg of the journey, which is being in a band and starting to write and so forth, right?
In the neighborhood, there were different kids who had either had a drum kit or had a guitar, and I would try to get together with whoever would play. I had a buddy named Dan. He had a drum kit, and he had an older cousin who played guitar, and they had a half stack. Like it's way too much for a basement. For those of you who don't know what a half stack is, a full stack. My bad. It's even worse than that. 8 12-inch speakers blasting at like 100 plus watts. I mean, your average home stereo system at the time was probably like anywhere between 15 and 30 watts. This was like 100 watts of pure power.
This is like stadium filling sound in the basement.
Yes. I'm surprised that we didn't go deaf. I mean, we'd get shut down so many times. We eventually formed like a little band.
Here's my interpretation. I'm just not satisfied with where I'm at musically. I want more. I want to do more. I want to expand my ability to be a musician. And that is in my voice, that is in my instruments, guitar, performing. I want to do more. Right? I don't just want to like play two strings on a guitar anymore. And so you decided to study music. Can you tell us a little bit about your education background?
So when I was in high school, towards the end, my initial career path was to be an electrician, and I was taking voice lessons at the time at a local music school. And the teacher was like, "Well, what are you going to go to college?" And I was like, it didn't even cross my mind. Like, I was thinking, I picked my trade. That's where I'm going. I'll just be in a band and whatnot. Didn't even think about it. She kind of planted the seed. And so I started looking into it. My grades were okay, probably because I wasn't thinking I was going to college. Like, I was like B, C kind of student. I just didn't try hard enough because I figured, I'm just gonna, I know what I'm gonna do. I don't need to worry about like all this stuff. So,
ticking the boxes.
Yeah, totally. What I did was I just kind of eased into it. I started off at the local community college. I started taking music classes there. Had a really good experience there. There was just a nice little music department. The teachers that were there really taught me a lot of the basics. My voice teacher there was like, "Well, what are you doing here? Like, if you're serious about this and you have something here, why don't you try to go to a conservatory where it could be more focused?" And that's when I looked into Baldwin-Wallace College, and eventually prepped for that, got accepted in for both classical guitar and voice.
And Baldwin-Wallace, remind me, where is that located?
Baldwin-Wallace is in Berea, Ohio. It's about a half hour from Cleveland.
Okay.
College with a well-known conservatory in the area. I didn't see, I was looking back, it was like a total gamble. Like, now I'm like, I can't believe I just applied to that school. Like, my teacher was like, "You should go to a conservatory." I just applied.
All the eggs in that basket.
All the eggs. Because I didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't have any of those consultations with counselors or whatever, and realized that, it was a pretty big deal for that area. And so I got in, and I was through the moon when I found that out, and I got to study classical singing there. And started off with a classical guitar double major. I eventually, the voice stuff took over. I got my Bachelor of Music from Baldwin-Wallace in voice. And then I took a year off from that. I was in a band at the time.
You studied, what did you study precisely? So I know voice, but like, what does that mean? Can you give us more color about like what you actually focused on and studied?
Sure. So undergrad was vocal performance. So I had to study all of the Romance languages, French, German, Italian, English, and learn how to properly pronounce things in that language, how to translate things, to start singing art songs, which are standalone single songs written by classical composers. And then dabble in a little bit into oratorio, which is sacred music written by classical composers, and opera, which is like a play, a musical, an old school musical written by classical composers. So that was the bulk of the training in undergrad. And then in grad school, I was basically double major in voice performance and pedagogy.
And where did you go to grad
school? Grad school is the Peabody Conservatory at Johns Hopkins University.
Yes.
I went to Peabody. the Peabody Conservatory.
Prestigious institution.
Yes. But that was fun because it was in Baltimore. It was a totally new scene.
Yeah. Got
to leave Cleveland for the first time for a long period of time. A lot of good people, a lot of good experiences, good professors. It was a bigger conservatory, but with still more of an intimate kind of feel. The class sizes weren't crazy huge. a lot of good opportunities. That was more focused. So because I was a vocal, voice performance and pedagogy, what I did was all the classes were geared more towards really, honing in on singing and prepping to get out into the real world to audition for operas and do classical things that classical singers do. And then also took some classes with regard to teaching and the study of the voice and how the voice operates, and sat in on practically all of the professors who taught voice there and observed and took in information and took mental notes and learned from watching other people who are good at what they do their thing.
That, of course, led you to begin the path of where you are today, which probably could be its own full episode about, talking about, okay, and then what, so it's great to understand where that journey began. Rich, thank you so much. We've had such a great conversation today, and just learning about you and your background and sort of what has influenced you throughout your journey. And as mentioned before, there's a lot more to unpack in future episodes, which I look forward to doing with you down the road.
I'm a music lover. It's great to be able to go back and forth with a fellow music lover on this podcast.
Yes, likewise. I agree. All right.
You've got mail.
I heard another
universe
beep.
Has decreed.
Someone emailing us to stop.
The universe has decreed by ping, email ping, that this episode.
That was it. We were waiting for that.
We were waiting for that, and there you go. We got our sign. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Take care.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Thank you for listening to the Face Your Ears podcast. We hope you found it entertaining and informative. Check us out on social media and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For more information related to our podcast, head on over to www.faceyourears.com. Links can be found in the show description. And remember, whether you're a musician just starting out or a seasoned professional looking to talk shop, it's time to face your ears.